Welcome back, folks, to season 5 of the Gangs All Here podcast. It's our New York Jets podcast from the New York Post. I'm your host, Jake Brown, alongside my co-host, Jets beat writer for the New York Post, Brian Costello. People are thinking to themselves, Kaz, it's July 18th as people hear this on Tuesday, July 18th. The New York Jets report to training camp on Wednesday. This is the first time in the history of the Gangs All Here podcast there's a show in July. But Kaz, there is hype around this team. You know, you text me yesterday, Jake, we need to do a show. We have to do a show. That's not how it worked. I'm the one who texted you. But, you know, the need for content and Jets fans' excitement is off the charts. First off, good to talk to you, and it's good to not scream about a lousy team like I've been doing for the Mets, ranting and raving. Hopefully we won't be doing much of that on the show this year. But how's life been for you? I know you've been busy creating these softball lineups.
Yeah, be busy with softball, Jake. A lot of softball, and my son's playing basketball. So been a good summer. Got to DC for a little while for a few days. So now ready to go. Ready or not, training camp is here. How have you enjoyed the Mets season, Jake? Has it been everything you hoped and wished for, and been enjoying every that bullpen? The bullpen's been phenomenal for you.
It's truly making me consider therapy for the first time and seeking medical attention, for the team and also the food intake. I've had to eat I've been posting my eats at the stadium because I'm not going to post the baseball because it's unwatchable. And, I'm hoping it's not the same story for the Jets this year where you spend all this money, you got the star quarterback, you got the star pitcher and Justin Verlander,
Yeah,
and it all goes down
similar.
crapper. It's a
There's some
similar storyline.
similarities.
I know
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
wrote
mean,
a little bit about it, but
yeah.
it's similar, and I
You
hope
roll
it's
the
not going to be
dice.
the same.
You roll the dice with these old guys. They're big names, but can they keep it going at their age? So we see how it worked out for the Mets. The Jets are hoping they have to be hoping it works out better with Mr. Rodgers, but you never know when they get around 40 years old. Everyone's like, oh, Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Tom Brady. Well, he's an outlier, right? There aren't many guys that have done it at his age and kept going. So we'll see.
Yeah, we won't talk Mets here. If you want to listen to that, listen to Amazing But True with me and Nelson Figueroa. But it's a bad product. Hopefully, it changes by the time the Jets Hall of Fame game happens. It might be a brand new Mets roster after that trade deadline for that game. And I'll be crossing both worlds on Tuesday as people listen to this. I should be talking to John Franklin Myers actually at a Mets tailgate. He's going to be with the Gotham City crew at a tailgate. I don't know why he's going to a Met game right now with how bad they are, but he will be there at his Mets basketball jersey night. So you're
They
talking
might
about
need him. They
basketball.
might need him to pitch. Like, forget the first pitch. They might need him in the seventh inning.
Pitch, can he lay down a bunt? I mean, the Mets haven't played small ball since the Obama presidency. I mean, it's unbelievable how this team cannot lay a bunt down. Anyways, enough
I'm
about the
teaching
Mets.
bunting with my softball team, Jake. I could have, if they want to come over, Beatty, whoever wants to come over and learn pitch, we do it. We do
Coach Kaz, please, because Buck Showalter should be fired. I mean, I've had enough. He was my favorite guy last year, and now he sucks. Anyways, a hard knock on a bunt. Well, hard knocks. How about that? A terrible transition.
That's
The
a
Jets.
terrible transition.
I listen. I'm rusty. It's been a while. It's
Yeah.
it's weird talking about the Jets, but I can transition to Jets mode earlier if the Mets are this bad. So that's the one positive, and there's a lot to be excited about. They'll be on Hard Knocks. It begins August 8th, not on HBO Max, on Max. I don't understand this whole
So
new.
is it not on? It's not on regular HBO anymore, Jake. Like, you can't watch it on regular HBO, or just
I
on
think it's just the Max
streaming?
app. Yeah, the Max. I think it's part of HBO package. I believe it is, but there's a
Right.
whole rebranding. I don't know. Intern Nick Guzman, look into the exact platform we watch that on. But August 8th. And listen, the first time they were on was 2010, and that was right before you got there. So this is going to be your first Hard Knocks experience. Have you prepared yourself for the cameras that are going to be everywhere? You might make an appearance like you have on a few of the press conferences.
No, I've not prepared, Jake, and maybe I'll start swearing in my questions. Although HBO, they could show the swears. That's
Yeah.
always, it's always
This
a
is
time.
One Jets Drive on crack, and shout out to One Jets Drive. They do a great job, but there's going to be millions more viewers on this. So you better have the makeup going, a good fit, a nice hat. You better be looking good, Kaz.
Yeah, I'll flash the finger like James Harrison did to the Hard Knocks cameras. We'll see. We'll
Is
see.
is that a distraction? Like that's been the big storyline. Is everyone's like, oh
It's
no,
not a distraction.
go. Are you worried about that?
No, it's not a distraction. For me, my word for me. Now, I'll still write
For the
this.
team, yeah.
No, it's not a distraction, Jake. I mean, look, this team is going to be oversaturated with coverage no matter what because of Aaron Rodgers, right? Like this week is going to be insane because there's really nothing else going on, right? The Giants don't open till next week. The baseball teams are dead in the water right now. Nothing going on, so there's going to be so many cameras already there. I don't think they're fazed by that. Where it becomes a little interesting, Jake, is if the cameras are allowed in the meeting rooms. There's a lot of new players are getting to know each other. Does that disturb them, right? Does that bother them? Rodgers is new. The wide receiver room is almost all new. Like these guys, that's kind of their private sanctuary. And are there cameras in there? Now, the way this works is the team controls a lot. So the Jets can say, you're not getting cameras in the meeting rooms. The Jets can say you have no access to Aaron Rodgers. The Jets can say you have no access to Robert Saleh. Like they could really, really make this boring. And that was some of the bluster that was going on before HBO announced it, that the Jets were going to basically not make their lives easy there. Now that's official. Do they just say, okay, we they stuck us with this. We have to let's make the best of it. Maybe, but it's going to be interesting to see how much access the Jets actually give to Hard Knocks. And like you mentioned, they have their own One Jets Drive. I noticed they announced those are coming out Monday, the day before Hard Knocks each week. So I thought that was a little gamesmanship by the Jets. So I'm curious to see how they handle it. We'll see what I don't know which day we'll talk to Saleh, Wednesday or Thursday, see what he says about it. I think we'll probably know from the tone that he strikes on this, how the Jets approach this.
Yeah, I love that move by the Jets, putting their own production first and, getting the exclusive there. And Nick Guzman does confirm it will be on HBO, the physical HBO and Max on that app. They changed the color. They changed the name. I don't get if that makes any difference, but whatever. So you'll have plenty of Jets content, plenty of Aaron Rodgers content. And I'm still hoping they just wrap him in a bubble. I honestly do not want to see him for any of the training camp, any of the not training camp, any of the preseason games.
You want to see him for the preseason games. He's not going to play in preseason.
You don't think he'll play a series?
I don't think he'll play a snap in the preseason.
No. Really?
Yeah. Well, he hasn't since like 2017, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought they might put him out there for a series or two, but good. I'm perfectly fine with that because on September, what is it, 11th, the Monday night game versus the Bills, I do not want to see Tim Boyle as the Jets starting quarterback. I do not want to see Zach Wilson even active. So I don't even want to put those thoughts out there on July 17th. But let us pray that is not the case. And the hype is real around this team. First 4 training camp dates sold out in 3 minutes. They'll put 5 more practices up. People are going to be showing up in numbers at Jets training camp for the team, for Hard Knocks, for everything surrounding the team. And excitement is in the air. Some news last week that broke is that the Jets now have a new player with the biggest guaranteed money in the history of the franchise. Quinnen Williams has updated his bio. He is a New York Jet. He wasn't for a bit. He didn't have it in the bio. He's here. 4-year extension, $96 million, $66 million guaranteed. The second highest paid defensive tackle behind Aaron Donald. He's the first Jets draft pick to get a second contract. This is Nathan Shepard. Cause this had to get done at some point. You didn't want to have Hard Knocks, Darrelle Revis Part 2 and have a holdout with Quinnen. So glad he got paid. And, shout out to his agent, Nicole Lynch. She is just raking in the cash with him and Jalen Hurts. I mean, she could retire today and she's set with those 2 contracts alone. So good for Quinnen Williams and much deserved for Quinnen.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to get done all along, Jake. I think I wrote a story back around Memorial Day weekend. They weren't that far apart. The Jets wanted it to be a 5-year deal. Which I never thought was going to happen because if you look at all the other contracts, Dexter Lawrence and Payne and Simmons, all the guys that signed this offseason at defensive tackle, they're all 4-year deals. So I thought they'd all be 4 years. I mean, the Jets had to try. He's young. They could lock him up for a while, but I'm sure Quinn wanted a little more money, but he comes in still above Simmons, below Donald. I'm guessing Chris Jones is going to top him very soon, and he'll be 3rd on the list. But Quinn's done everything right. He's been a good player for them, been a good in the locker room, did not, moan about this. So how did he get done? I don't think the Jets cared that he wasn't there in the spring. I always thought training camp was the deadline for this to get done. And they get done the week before. So, kudos to them. And, Douglas, this is really Joe's biggest contract of a player in-house. And really probably biggest contract overall. I'm trying to think, were there any free agents that even come close to this that he signed? I don't think so. So big deal for the Jets, and Quinn will be around for a while.
Looking forward to seeing that, and he's going to be a big part of the Jets defense. Now, one guy who's not a part of the Jets offense yet, and it's been a big story. By the way, 2018 was the last preseason game for Aaron Rodgers. So, it's been 5 years. So keep it that way. That's how I like to see it. I hate preseason. I don't really like to watch preseason games. Just get me to week one. But obviously, it will be more fun this year than past years. Dalvin Cook is not a Jet yet. Can you give us any updates on what the latest is in that situation? Are the Jets still in the running? Does he want too much money? What's the latest?
Yeah, I think it's money, Jake. I think he's still asking for too much. And for the people I've talked to with the Jets, they're kind of like, we don't really need him, but like we'll take him if the money's right. So I don't think they're gonna, break the bank for Dalvin Cook. I think he's gonna have to come down and take a pretty small contract for the Jets to do it. And if he's willing to do that, I'm not sure if the Jets are his first choice. If he ends up coming down to $4 million or something like that, I'm sure he could have his pick of teams.
What's the range he's looking at? Is he looking at like a 12 million?
I heard like 8 to 10. Like that's what he was making, I think, with the Vikings, and he wanted to kind of come in around the same. So I heard that was where it was, which, you can see what's happening as we record this. It's franchise tag day, and the running backs are not getting money. We'll see if we still have about 2 hours, so maybe something will happen. But for the most part, the running back market is pretty much dead. And teams feel like they don't need to pay them. So, we'll see. I'm skeptical if Dalvin Cook's going to end up with the Jets.
Would you do it? Like if he said, "Hey, I'll take 1 year, 10 million to go to you guys," do you think that's worth it? Because Breece Hall is still a question mark coming back from the ACL. That really solidifies your running back room, and to me, is the final piece of an offense that could be even more dangerous. I think if he takes 1 year, 10 million, what do you say?
No way in hell. Like 1 year, 10 million. 1 year, 10 million is what the franchise tag players are getting, and they're, younger. And he wouldn't be like, you're a free agent on July. What are we on? July 17th? You're a free agent on July 17th. There's a big reason you're a free agent, right? And so he'd still be with the Vikings if he was really, really, really productive. He's slipping a bit as a player. You can find running backs, and you don't know what you're going to get, a Michael Carter or a Bam Knight or the rookie. I would not pay a running back that kind of money.
All right, we'll see where he ends up. I know the Patriots look like they're interested too. I really hope he doesn't go in the Jets division. Who would have thought we'd be hearing
I think the agent is out there saying who's interested, and he's trying to pit AFC's teams against each other. Let's see what actually happens.
Who would have thought, Kaz, the year 2023, the Patriots are projected to finish in last place? Like, what planet are we on that it's not the Jets? It's
eventually going to happen, Jake. It was eventually going to happen.
Yeah, so it's a glorious day, but it
let's
is
see what
on
actually
paper.
Let's see what actually happens, though. Yeah, projections are one thing. Let's see what actually happens in the season.
It's a crazy time, though. We're talking about all these positive Jets things. I mean, is this the most hype since you've covered the Jets going into a season?
Since my first season, I think. The first season was hyped. That was coming off the 2 championship games. People were talking about them as a Super Bowl team that year. That was Sanchez's 3rd season, and it was like, all right, Sanchez is going to take off now. They had just re-signed Santonio. Plaxico was there. There was a lot of hype there. So I thought I would probably compare it to that. But yeah, this is way, way up there.
Do you feel the hype in the streets? Are you ever out in the streets of New Jersey, and do you get, oh, Kaz, how's it going? Like, how good are the Jets going to be this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You do?
Yes. It's not so much like
cool.
People recognizing me like that. It's more people see my name, right? We talked about softball. We played in the tournament last weekend, and the umpire heard my name and then asked me, and then he was like, oh, and then, and then I told my team, I said, all right, I got the umpire. I got him in check. We're good.
Is that also a cat?
That's my cat. Yes, my cat is meowing.
There's a baby crying for
no baby. It's just a cat.
The cat, that's incredible. So the umpire saw your name and was
Yeah,
asking about the Jets. So it
yeah.
doesn't happen at like the local grocery store or
No, I'm
convenience.
not like no one recognizes my face on,
Oh, okay.
thankfully, but it's more my name. When people hear my name or
Listen,
something, they
you've been
they
on
put
with
two and
Bruce
together.
Beck here and some
Yeah,
TV
not
spots. I
quite
thought someone
enough.
might know.
Maybe Hard Knocks will change that, Jake.
Yeah, the Hard
Yeah.
Knocks. This is your chance now. Get your IMDb page rolling and get some first appearance. Hard Knocks and Bruce Beck. I love that. So yeah, can't say that happens for me either. Only at Citi Field here and there. It's like and that's because I'll wear a shirt that has my face on it. So it's hard to miss
That
me when
helps.
with a shirt with your bald head on it. Oh, is that you? Yeah, that's me. Sorry. So we'll see about Dalvin Cook. Another name that went off the board this week that I wanted the Jets to get, and I thought he might get more money. He got $13 million a year. Was DeAndre Hopkins? Were the Jets ever in on him, or did he just not want to come here, or what?
Jets had no interest. There was no interest
Really?
there. I
Okay.
think they're done. I mean, it's not monopoly money, Jake, right? Like they also need a ton of this cap space for Aaron Rodgers. Like I think people are forgetting that right now Aaron Rodgers is on the book for $1 million this year. He's not playing for $1 million this year. Yeah, so they're gonna have to completely rework that contract. They're gonna need salary cap space to do that. So I think a large amount of the cap space they have is going to go towards Rodgers when I don't know what's the delay. I thought they would have the contract done by now, but they've got to get that contract reworked.
Yeah, that's I would have liked Hopkins, but it is. I mean, what do it's kind of been monopoly money a little bit compared to
Oh,
past
but
years with this
there
team.
is salary cap space. Like, there
Hmm.
is, they have to make it all work under the cap. And, they added Lazard, they added Hardman, they added Cobb. They've done a lot of work at wide receiver already.
One guy they also added in this recent few weeks was another former Packer. I mean, to call them the New York Packers at this point, except on the defensive side, safety Adrian Amos. What'd you think of that move? Obviously, it's so Jets that Chuck Clark had played over 1,200 consecutive snaps, comes to
Yeah.
the Jets and tears his ACL. When did that even happen? Did that happen on the field?
It was on the last play of the last OTA.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
why no one noticed, because it happened and we all were walking off. So it happened in the last play of the last OTA. Yeah.
I mean, the luck of this team. I mean, it's not a
That's what
huge
makes
injury, but he was the starting
there's a
safety.
lot of
So.
optimism, Jake, but you also have to pump in a little bit of, you've watched the Jets for a long time. Things happen, right? I think it's cautious optimism by people, because who knows with this team. Yeah, but I think Amos, they had to do it once Clark got hurt. But I still think they're thin at safety. If I look at it, they've got Jordan Whitehead, Amos, Ashton Davis is still there, Tony Adams. But wouldn't surprise me if they're in the veteran market there around cuts. Looking for anyone who gets cut, they might add a safety. I could see that.
Yeah, in these next 6 weeks, what else do you see them doing? Any other additions you see that they're going to make to the roster?
I think a lot of bottom of the roster. You always see churn at the bottom of the roster. But to me, if you look at safety, you look at linebacker, I think they're thin at those two positions right now. I look there. I still wonder at wide receiver what they're doing. At 5 and 6, I can't understand why Corey Davis is still on this roster. It makes no sense to me at all. From he's $11 million, like, as your fifth receiver, like, that doesn't make any sense. I figured by now they would have told him, you're taking a pay cut or you're going to get cut, and he probably would have gotten cut, and it hasn't happened. So I don't know what's happening there, but I'm skeptical that he's going to be on the team. I think Denzel Mims won't be on the team. I think they're going to try to trade him for a kicking tee at some point, and then cut him if they can't trade him. So 5th and 6th right now, I just did my Post Plus newsletter, and I was doing the 53, and I had Irv Charles there and Jason Brownlee, who are young guys as receivers. Wouldn't shock me if there's, they add a cheap veteran receiver there too.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we've talked about in this show how and why is Corey Davis still here? Why do they have him? So that's definitely going to be a storyline to watch here going into training camp these next 6 weeks. And another storyline coming up is Hall of Fame weekend. So the Jets report earlier than everyone else as Joe Klecko and Darrelle Revis, two Jets greats who, how about the feud that happened there? Thanks to my buddy Jake Assman. How about that?
Was that the most Jets stupid thing ever? Like, holy crap. You get two freaking Hall of Famers and they're sniping at each other. Like, oh my God, that was horrible.
Yeah, I think Revis seemed to misinterpret it. I mean, Klecko, you got to give him some slack. He's an old man, and he's had some health problems and issues. Revis is a younger guy. Revis has just been feisty on Twitter. I mean, he's talked about he's going to start a podcast. The latest thing was with Asante Samuel. I mean, Asante Samuel hating on Revis. What do you think of that whole feud? It's keeping the offseason spicy, guys.
I mean, that's Revis. Revis, one beat reporter, I won't name, once described Darrelle Revis as the most thin-skinned superstar they'd ever seen. Darrelle was always mad at something, and he always took offense at something, and might have helped him be a player, might have helped him as a competitor, but Darrelle, he got offended pretty easily.
Were you that beat reporter that
I was not that beat reporter? Darrelle and I got along fine. I never had issues with him. Others had major issues with Darrelle.
Yeah, he's still going on Twitter. It's pretty incredible that there's a new feud almost every week. He's building up hype if he does do a podcast that people might actually listen to that. So honestly, it'd be a great show. Him just fighting people every week, like him versus Asante Samuel, have Joe Klecko, from the Hall of Fame they fight. I mean, I would probably listen to that podcast.
I mean, you probably remember this, Jake, but the Richard Sherman debate was always a big one, right? When Richard Sherman emerged, like who's better.
Yep.
And Revis hated that argument because Sherman didn't travel with the best receiver. So he always got mad whenever that was brought up about that.
Well, is Asante Samuel in his class? Like, is there anything that Samuel's saying on Twitter that's right? Because I would disagree with him.
No, Asante Samuel is not in Darrelle's class. Asante Samuel had a great career, and he has crazy interception numbers. Revis gets dinged when you just look at his career because he doesn't have a lot of interceptions, but they never threw his way. I mean, it basically stopped throwing at him from 2009 until about 2013 or 14, and they started throwing his way again. But there was a 3-year period in there where he never saw the ball. So to really appreciate Revis, you had to watch him every game, every day. I always say he's the best practice player I ever saw. He was amazing at practice. He was just a lunatic at practice. So I think stats don't do him justice, and maybe that's what Samuel was looking at.
Yeah, that's what everyone will say. The best practice player ever. So it is intriguing indeed. Well, we are just a couple of weeks away. The Jets will open up the preseason against the Browns on August 3rd. They'll play the Panthers the 12th, the Bucs the 19th, and then the Giants the 26th. And then they get a little 16-day layover from the final preseason game to week 1 against the Bills on Monday night. Kaz, one of 6 primetime games. I know you're all juiced up about that, right?
I swear on this podcast, Jake.
It'll make it tougher edit.
Do we get in trouble? Do we get in trouble? Make Hart's job hard?
I mean, you could if you want, and then we'll bleep it out. But if you feel that strongly about primetime football, I kind of hate it too, to be honest, because I'm planning to go to most of these games, and getting back from East Rutherford to New York or really anywhere is one of the most miserable experiences of the history of life, which is why I wish they would move to across the street from Citi Field. But trying to get an Uber out of there, trying to take the train out of there, if you drive out of there, it is terrible. See, you leave later because you're riding there and you're compressor. So you're all brake, no gas, or all gas.
All gas, no brake out of the parking lot.
All gas, no brake out of the parking lot. It's not going to be in this year because it's going to be a sellout every weekend and packed, but getting out's easy for you. But my God, it is the worst. And that's part of why I don't go to a ton of games, but got to go this year, guys.
Are you aware of what an early story is, Jake? Have you heard this from some people?
It's like it's got to be out like almost when the game ends, right?
No, that's a running, right? So what an early story is, let's do some how the sausage is made here, deep in the weeds. Okay. So we have newspapers. There's still newspapers that are sold in like Florida and Vegas and places that they need to be flown to, right? They're not in the 5 boroughs. They're not Jersey, not Connecticut. Those papers are basically printed at like 8 o'clock. All right, 9 o'clock, somewhere in there. So we have to have our stories in by 8. So if the Jets are playing in prime time, I have to write, it's basically a placeholder. Think of it as a placeholder. So I have to write some story about whatever. Pick a player. I have to write a story that's early. So I usually have to write 2 of them before a night game. And then those stories are replaced. You'll never see them if you're in New York. They don't go online usually unless they're special. And they're just basically go to the people in Florida that buy the paper. But they are a royal pain in the butt because you're doing all this stupid work that hardly anyone reads, and then they get replaced later on by the game story. So in
Well,
baseball,
that's why they pay you the big bucks, guys.
in baseball, you do it every night. So when I did baseball, you do it every night, right?
So what are you writing out before the game? Like, what do you just like a player profile? Like, what are you putting out before the game even starts?
Basically, you have to find something, and the goal is to find something that won't be affected by the game, right? So you don't want to write a story about Aaron Rodgers because he's going to be whatever he does in the game is going to be a story. So it might be like, for example, one I can remember is like when Christian Hackenberg was a rookie. I wrote a Hackenberg early because he wasn't going to play. So I knew he wasn't going to play. So it's not going to be affected by whatever happens in the game because you do want the people reading it the next day not to be like, whoa, what's this? So but if you look at the paper, Jake, and look at baseball, like where the Yankees right now are in Anaheim, right? Mm-hmm. So if you pick up the paper tomorrow morning, there'll be some story about Giancarlo Stanton or something that has nothing to do with the game. That's an early story. So
was your Hackenberg story he's a hack. His NFL career will be over soon.
Good. It was a good story. Just staying patient. He's patient. It was good. It was a perfect because it didn't get affected by the game. But so there's 1 o'clock games I love, Jake, because they didn't have to write earlies, and then you're not on deadline. Although these days you're on deadline all the time because of the website, so it doesn't really. Even 1 o'clock games, I'm filing something at the end of the game. But the early story is the killer, and I'll be writing a lot of earlies this year.
Yeah, listen, it affects the pod too. Those late nights, we're gonna have to figure out. We got at 8 o'clock, 4:25, 1, 8:20, 4:25, 4:25, by 1, 8, 8, 4, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 8.
I like
TBD.
That last stretch.
Yeah. So that stretch of 1 is nice in there, mixed with I got to figure out if I'm going to fly home on the Black Friday morning to go to that Black Friday afternoon game, or just watch it from South Carolina. So that's a Prime Video game on that Friday. So we got plenty of time to go game by game and give our predictions. That'll be later and closer to September. And we expect to be back here in a few weeks, probably for Hall of Fame week. Stay tuned for special guests this year. We'll have some players on. I should hopefully be at training camp with you at some point in August. Find a way to get to Florham Park without a car. Is that possible? Is there a bus stop around there, cuz?
Train. There's a train station.
There is a train. Okay. So
you'd have to take an Uber from the train station, but there's 2 stops right there, right by Florham Park. Convent Station and Madison are right there.
They better have. So you said their food there is pretty good. I really hope the media food makes it worth this.
I really hope it doesn't slip with I'm a little worried that like when the volume of people go up, that the food they're gonna have to cut back on the food, and the quality might slip. I'm a little nervous. This is a big training camp for the Jets kitchen staff.
I would think they want to impress everyone even more with more people. Like this is the year to dress to impress.
I feel like when you get volume, though, it affects things. Mm-hmm. Like when you're, I just feel like it could be affected by the volume.
Well, I'm sure it'll be better than the MetLife food for sure. That is a guarantee.
Yeah.
But no sloppy joes at Jets training camp, please.
You hate those sloppy joes.
Oh man, that was. I definitely got sick from that. I think I'm pretty sure I might have. But we won't crap all over the food in July. We'll wait till the season for that. If the Jets are bad, we got plenty to talk about. Jake Brown, Gangs All Here podcast coming outside of Citi Field, where it is hot as balls outside. But we're here outside the Mets tailgate. Gotham City crew is in the building. We're in the building with John Franklin Myers, JFM. You're throwing the first pitch tonight. What's your baseball experience like? Are you throwing some gas? Don't pull a 50 Cent on me tonight?
Nah. See, that's not going to happen. Baseball experience, I played a little bit in Alamosa, Colorado when I lived there with my brother. Played for a summer. My first time ever throwing a baseball, then haven't threw a baseball since 9th grade, but I'm going to make it to the home plate.
So did you warm up? No warm up. You're just going one pitch, that's it. You didn't practice.
I threw a couple, watch some YouTube videos, and throw a little slide at the home plate.
All right, so training camp gets underway this week. How you feeling? Your body ready? Are you good to go? Are you excited? How you feeling?
Yeah, excited. I mean, another opportunity to go out there and compete, another chance to go out there, and we all start 0-0, and what opportunity we have to go try to win a Super Bowl.
Hard Knocks has been the talk. It's coming. Are you ready? Are you going to be flashing ice for the camera? Are you ready to roll? Because, there's pressure that comes along with it, but you're in New York. You're used to that pressure. How you feeling about Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks is cool. It's cool. I mean, great opportunity to show your skill set, to show you as a person outside of football. But, you just don't let it be a distraction, and you take it for what it is. And it's entertainment at the end of the day. the profession that I'm in is entertainment, so ain't no different.
Have you talked to Aaron Rodgers? What do you feel about Aaron Rodgers so far?
He's cool. I mean, a likable guy who, I mean, his locker's two down from mine, so kind of have to like him even if I don't. So, no, but he's great. He's great. Great guy in the locker room, vet, and does a good job talking to guys and actually being a human outside of football.
Do you feel the difference in the locker room with him and the hoopla around the team? Like, can you feel it? Social media, online, everywhere, you feel the difference?
Yeah, 100%. I think we all have high expectations, and you know, we hold ourselves to a high standard with or without Aaron Rodgers, and now that we have him, an even higher expectation, and you know, we look forward to going out there and proving that.
Do you look at this as a Super Bowl contender? I'm not going to say make a prediction here, but do you look at your team and guys around you and think you guys could compete for a championship?
Yeah, I think you look at our defense. First and foremost, we have championship defense, and you know, offense. I mean, a guy who's won championship leading us, and plenty of guys, skill positions, O-line doing great, getting Brees back. I mean, what opportunity we have as a team to go out and win a Super Bowl.
How do you like Coach Saleh? This is a big year for him. You know, I think the team's got to make the playoffs. That's how the fans look at it. That's how I'd love to see a playoff team, obviously. I've been waiting a while. I think it's going to happen. But what do you think about Saleh? Is he the guy to get you there? And, you know, is he as motivational, clapping on the sidelines as we see, you know, off the field and the practice? Is he that kind of guy?
He really is. I say that that's a benefit about him is he's the same person, win, lose, or draw. And, you know, we win the game, and he's like, look, we're not going to sit here and boast. We're not going to sit here and talk about what we did so great. We're going to try to correct the things that we did wrong and get better at the things that we did right, you know. And what an opportunity we have and a great guy to learn from.
That defensive line room, defensive ends, like, talk about it. You got some dogs in there. What are you guys going to bring to the table this year?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna rush the passer. We're gonna set violent edges, and we're gonna go run after the ball, and that's what we do. That's the name of our game. That's the name of our game as a defensive line. Set violent edges, rush the passer, and run to the ball. And big guys running stands out on tape. And I don't think we lack anything in the defensive line and that defensive end. You know, I mean, look who we have. So depth is our best friend. 6 primetime games this year. You like primetime? I like the opportunity to go out there and play football. Shoot, I mean, prime time is cool. All eyes are on you, what opportunity you have. But each week you go out there and step on the field, there's an opportunity nonetheless.
What else you got going on off the field? What have you been doing this off season?
It's off season, man. Spend a lot of time with the family. Man, working out. Rehabbing from a little surgery that I had this off season. So, man, I feel great. I feel better than I felt going into the season.
John Franklin Myers, Jets, we're excited. Gangs All Here podcast. Jake Brown, good luck in training camp, and I'll see you on the cameras on Hard Knocks.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right. That'll say goodnight to episode 143 of Gangs All Here, our New York Jets podcast from the New York Post. Thanks to Andrew Hartz and the intern Nick Guzman for helping me produce the show. You can catch up on all old episodes you may have missed, or if you're new, subscribe to Gangs All Here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're watching it on YouTube or you're not, go to the YouTube right now. That's the New York Post Sports YouTube. Subscribe there. Find that Gangs All Here podcast playlist. Follow the playlist. Get updated on all new episodes and new clips of the program. Give us a thumbs up below. Comment below. How you feeling about training camp? What do you think about Hard Knocks? Do you think Hard Knocks will be a distraction? Listen, if this team can't handle Hard Knocks, it's going to be a long year. This is New York City. There's already plenty of distractions. You got Aaron Rodgers. So even if Hard Knocks wasn't there, it'd still be one Jets drive there. You still got cameras there somewhere. So my only worry here with Hard Knocks is you hope guys aren't stunting too hard for the camera. We are in a generation, especially with these young players, who will, you know, do things for video. Not saying for clout. They're NFL players. They don't need clout and attention, but guys will do things. They see a camera. They might act a little different. Oh, there's millions watching. Let me, you know, stunt for this. And then there's an injury. But either way, there's going to be people and cameras anyway if there wasn't Hard Knocks. So if that's going to be a problem, the Jets won't be able to win this year. So that should hopefully be the least of the problems. And it's going to give us good inside look into this team, into the coaching staff, into Aaron Rodgers, into these players. And I'm excited to watch it. You get that. You get One Jets Drive. You get a lot of content, and you get the Gangs All Here podcast as we're here early in July, the earliest show in the history of the program. That shows you the hype of the New York Jets in 2023. Follow us on Twitter at Brian Cos and me at Jake Brown Radio. For Brian Costello, I'm Jake Brown. We will return in a few weeks. Stay tuned on Twitter. Again, follow us, and we will keep you posted on when we will return. I'm sure there'll be some news coming up. Maybe a couple interviews we'll do, so stay tuned for that. But thanks, everybody, for listening to Gangs All Here, and we're excited for Season 5 of the program. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.